Today, we are riding alongside Annette Gilbert on her typical commute to work as an elementary school principal. And she has quite a bit to say and show on her 16-kilometer e-bike commute here in London, Ontario. She lives over near Wonderland and Fanshawe Park Road and commutes all the way over to near Clark Road and Huron Street. For the most part, she tries to keep on the Thames Valley Parkway, so the TVP. But first, she has to get to it, because there aren't any connections to the TVP in the west of London. Just so you know, future Ben's voice will pop in and out of this ride-along for context and guidance for you if you're wondering what's happening. As we will soon discover, Annette, just like most drivers, use their bicycles as a mode of transportation and don't necessarily care about all of the quirks as long as it works. So let's get on with it. I just commented on her front rack, and that started off the conversation for the rest of the ride.
I think I told you I was retiring.
Yes.
And a friend of mine that I've worked with for years, anyway, he retired last year. He showed up at my office this week with a painting from his partner. And I thought, how the heck am I getting that home? And it was sweet, right? Like it was fine.
So you put the painting on your bike?
I did, in the front. Watch, what are your... Should I be worried about your safety?
Only slightly, mildly.
I was just out in the road a bit, taking the lane to get the shot. Not a big deal because we ended up here at the red light anyway. Speaking of, we will be headed southbound onto Wonderland Road. And if you're wondering about this bike lane and how it is not the greatest, seeing as we are essentially biking down the side of a highway, because this is I think 60 or 70 kilometers an hour here, yeah, you'd be right. Like, this is not ideal at all. And unfortunately, it doesn't get any better once we get to the protected bike lane, because then the protected bike lane, well, okay, it is more well protected. That's great. But you can just see her being jostled around, so much so that, and she'll get into this momentarily, she uses the sidewalk here because the bike lane is in such disrepair that it is just far too bumpy to even ride on, which is somewhat ridiculous.
The bike lane is so horrible here. If I can take the sidewalk, I will. As you will see when you bump across.
All the bumps, etc.
Oh my gosh. It's like a slalom course.
What are your thoughts on the non-transitions? Or like the boom right there?
They're horrible, especially when you're carrying a painting.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah.
And I always can think about, like, obviously I've got a little bit of speed on my side, but if you're in a wheelchair or if you're pushing a stroller, those are all bigger bumps for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and like, it's just weird because, you know, roadways with their smoothness are nice, but you have vehicles that have huge shocks
that you wouldn't notice. Exactly.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
exactly.
The wheelchairs and bicycles, they don't necessarily have the. Yeah.
Anyhow.
Just somewhat bonkers.
I'm just gonna sneak over. Don't
mind the janky camera setup. Right now, I am holding a gimbal with a Canon R6 mirrorless camera with a 35mm prime lens on there.
It would be really great if we catch this light.
The reason that she mentions that we want to hit this light is because it's such a short light, and while cars are able to floor it and hit 60 kilometers an hour, average speed for bicycling is the most important thing. You want to get that as high as possible. As you'll notice, it just turns as we get across the street, barely any time to get across, and then the wait to get across that street is so long that it probably adds maybe 5 minutes to her journey. So we want to avoid that when already her journey is about 40 minutes across all of London. But now that we are on the side roads, we can start chatting.
So when you started 3 years ago, you just transitioned, like, how did the inaugural bike go? So did you bike like to the interview initially too and stuff?
Sorry,
to Chippewa.
Oh, heck yeah. Because I've only been there 3 years and I've had it for 4. So, And you know, you don't interview, it's a different process. Anyhow, you get placed as a principal. You don't interview for that.
Yes.
However, I've had other interviews, so yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so with that,
Yes,
you
dear.
on the first day you showed up, how did that go? So you showed up on your bike. What did everyone think?
Oh,
New principal.
that's a really good question. Well, they might not, because I show up earlier, they wouldn't have seen me arrive. But over the time, obviously, anybody that comes in my office, my bike's right there. So I'm hoping that's like a incentive modeling for kids to also obviously bike. And we're gonna slip down here. Like parents are more interested than kids, I gotta tell you. I don't know. Kids are only interested if, for instance, yesterday I was on my way home and there were a few of them on the Thames Valley Parkway. And that's when I'm riding by, I say, hey, you know, whatever their names are. And they're like, oh my God, Mrs. Gilbert, like out in the wild, you know?
Whenever you see a principal or teacher in the wild, you're like, what? You have another life?
Yeah, like you've seen my bike 1,000 times, but you didn't expect me to ride it? I don't know. We're going down this way.
Just a token bike?
Yeah, it's for show.
Yeah.
Morning.
And that right there, I don't want you to miss out on. Her just saying hi, that is so huge for connecting community.
Have you noticed more people biking in the last few years?
Absolutely, yeah. Morning.
And that right there is the second time she's just simply connected with her neighbors within like 30 seconds.
But the north branch of the TVP is by no means as busy as downtown or even the southeast branch. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Where they go to work,
Yep, that would do it.
honest. What's up in the northeast end really, like, yeah. But I do see that and you're gonna perhaps see this, we're such creatures of habit, so we're always going to work at the same time or, you know, out for our morning jog. So there's quite a few people, like my peeps, who I see every single day, you know, and say, hi, how are ya, that kind of thing. We're gonna go left here, this is Brescia.
I was going to ask about that, about how you may or may not find the same people every once in a while.
Absolutely. Like, there's a couple of people that walk their dogs. I mean, it's like, I see them like virtually every day. Because they do it at the same time, right?
Oh wow, where the heck are we?
This is Brescia.
Huh, I know exactly. Okay, now I know. They were going to go right down the huge lane.
Yeah, that's right.
Got it. Huh. Don't mind the clicking. One of my wires is hitting my spokes.
Oh no.
Oh, just the brake cable, it's fine. I don't need brakes. No. But
I'm gonna sneak in here and then go beside the building, honey.
okay, I will let you do your thing. How do you find these small little paths that you figure out over time?
If I can find somewhere to go with no cars, I'm in. Right? And if there's kids, like during when Western's in, this is busier, so I'll walk it. Not typically at this time, but later in the day.
Don't mind the camera work. This was really hard to keep track of while going down at a fast pace.
Navigating and filming and keeping her in frame is slightly bonkers. And we're getting some pretty hefty speed here.
If you're wondering about these clicks coming up right here, those are Annette changing her gears, coming up to the stoplight. Just gonna fast forward here.
Oh, this never happens. You're good luck.
Oh, you got a green light.
Honestly.
So what are your thoughts on Idaho stops?
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't do it if there was a car there or near, but it makes no sense not to. So.
We agree. Well, I think drivers, it's kind of interesting. They're like, whoa.
Oh, it's a thorny issue for them.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, but like worst case, you hurt yourself.
Yeah, like don't worry, I'm not going to touch you. Yeah, like.
And also, you have a huge amount of visibility as a cyclist, so.
Yeah, and your hearing, you know, people don't recognize that, right? I notice it now when if I am in the car, even coming to the end of my street, excuse me, looking both ways, it's like I can't. Sure, I can see, but it's like I got to roll down the window because I want to hear. So bizarre.
You might say bizarre, but it actually is a really big thing. When you're on a bike, you can hear so much more.
So we're gonna link up to the TVP here.
So Annette makes a right here, and I totally didn't know she was gonna go that way. So I totally miss this turn. I just put my bike up over the curb and continue on my way. But the camera work, very janky because I'm holding the gimbal. So she bikes off over to under the bridge, and it's funny how fast you start losing someone if you stand still.
Is this the way you came?
So we took 28 minutes to get to your place from our place.
Oh.
So we went Sarnia.
Yep.
Through Western, but like taking Sarnia at the end. Woo, no!
Did I hit him?
Now, hold up. Did you just see that? This is a chipmunk running out onto the path right as we came by. Now, Natalia was filming behind the scenes and actually got a behind the scenes angle.
That was a chipmunk. I got that.
Poor little guy. Here is a zoomed in version. Bonk, and then he runs.
That was a chipmunk.
He could have planned it a little bit better for his crossing time.
I think he bonked the side of your.
Yeah.
He almost.
Yeah.
Got. Poor guy. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that happens though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, careful, cyclists.
Yep. But yes, we went along Huron and we did not take the most relaxed route. We wanted to do this, but we didn't get out on time.
So that underpass that we went under, they are amazing for keeping cyclists and car traffic away from each other. It's just a really important part of safe infrastructure is segregated, separate infrastructure. Just doesn't have any lights for night, which is unfortunate.
If I'm in a hurry or in the winter time and this is a mess, I'll take Cheapside because at least there's a lane there and they've improved some of it, right? That's between like Adelaide and Richmond.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's easy for me. I just take it up to Sanford and scooch over to Chippewa.
That's pretty much, I would say when we're going downtown and stuff, that route right there is approximately 90% of where we take.
Yeah.
Like the
and then,
Cheapside.
like Colburn, right?
Yes.
To get downtown. Yeah.
And now they finally, although albeit painted, they've now completed the painted bike lane between Adelaide and Colburn. Yeah. Whew, my arm's getting a good workout. I have been holding this for now 20 minutes and 12 seconds. Ah! I just, I found a branch.
Oh, you wait. Up here, so I love about how maintenance works, let's say. Up here you're going to see, because it's been the last couple of days, they put pylons out, they put, signs up. It's closed, but they don't tell you ahead of time. So I pull up to this and I'm like, what is wrong with the pavement here? There's nothing wrong. Well, meanwhile, it's a branch like the size of, like it's massive. You'll see it. Morning. It has not been taken down, but everybody is still going through.
Yes.
And I always think, oh yeah, if that tree was hanging over a road, it would have been down by now.
Exactly.
Which is interesting because we don't have a metal cage around us as people on bikes.
And I will eat my words if it has been taken down since last night.
They just knew we were filming. I called ahead.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
Now we are going to head over this wonderful bridge that was put in a few years ago. A lot of people may not know about this, but the other day we were on this bridge and there were so many people out here, and you can kind of see it from the North London athletic fields, which probably helps with its popularity. But it was not a connection before, and that's a huge deal because you had to go along Windermere, which they are also going to be putting a bike lane there, which I really appreciate because during the winter and the colder months, this is all not lit. As you can see, there are no light posts or any lights of any sort, so you are fully reliant on your own bicycle's bike lights, whether you're attaching them or with an e-bike. They most of the time come with back and front lights. Most of the time they come with a front light, and now more and more they're coming with back lights. And right now we are going around the North London athletic fields, around the north side of them, and so there's a big curve. You can go the other way and cut through the North London athletic fields, but this way is quite nice because it runs along the river, which keeps it nice and cool. But it is a longer route.
You were saying about the tree?
Look at it.
So this is that tree. At least they have moved the signs
Oh, well.
so that they're not blocking the entire way and have closed it. So they might have done a little bit of maintenance, but they might need to bring a truck in to remove the branch. Anyway.
All right, so yeah, it's been very fun to have to try to balance all of this. If we get too much speed, I can't go no hands though, because this is very nice to be able to do. But I will give one negative to step-throughs. You get a speed wobble if you have panniers out back and just the weight isn't distributed correctly. So I think for an ideal filming setup, having a step over might be better, but I just love my bike so much. It's really hard to give up. So, ooh, here comes the sun. All right, time for some more cool shots. Yeah, if you can continue to film for just a second, because this turn here will, I'm just talking to Natalia because this is always the entertaining bit to try to keep you in frame going around the bend here. There we go. So on which days are you, quote, forced to drive? I know.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is like, I think winter, right? Pretty much, or?
Sometimes in the winter, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes if I have to go further than I can manage, like at the end of the day, I gotta go somewhere else. But like recently, I took off. I always have my rain gear, like, and I look at the weather, blah, blah, blah. But I had only been maybe 3 blocks or so, and all of a sudden it was like, psh, and I don't mind the rain on the way home, like if it's really hard, but I don't like showing up.
So
Like it's 16K is a long time to be in hard rain. It just depends. Yeah. So then I actually rode back home and said, call it a day, you're driving.
we find the exact same. I've said it even recently where it's like, you know what? The only times that you need to stay dry is when you're on your way there at the beginning of the day and it's absolutely like a
Just ridiculous.
dumping buckets of water on you. But otherwise,
I have shown up to work where, and we have a DE program, a developmental ed, so we've got a washing machine and dryer, where, yes, I got there early enough. I literally had to put my clothes in the dryer because it was just so, the way it was hitting me, I mean, I have waterproof stuff, but it was like through my zipper. My boots were full, my pants, you know, my butt was soaked. I was like, okay. And that's not how I want to start my day.
Yeah.
But that rarely happens, right?
Oh, how do you like the internal gear hub? The fact that your gears don't get exposed to the elements.
It's a darn good thing given that I'm out in the elements. You know, I have to admit, you're talking to somebody that it's a machine and it does its work for me and I love it. So I don't have a lot of appreciation for some of the finer points of my particular e-bike, but I could learn.
Oh, but you also don't need to. That's the fun of it. It's like, hey, do most people learn about the cars? No.
We're gonna go down this way.
We're going to go left.
If that's okay.
Ooh, this is my favorite part of the trail right here.
I love that.
For the next minute, I'm just gonna let you meditate to this awesome shot and these amazing nature sounds.
Morning. Morning.
This will be the true test of my ability. Going around this corner, over the bridge.
Oh my goodness.
This is guerrilla filmmaking.
Yes, it truly is.
Yep. Emphasis on gorilla because arms like a gorilla, I guess. Ow. I need to figure out a better way.
Pretty quiet, eh?
Yes, it's like the air. There's this, I don't know, I've heard it, I haven't actually looked up the study or anything, but something about the forest heals you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can tell it, like, when it gets really humid, you get down here and it's like, oh, this is great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just changing settings on the go.
So we're gonna go under the bridge and then sneak up through the residential area.
Try to get this.
Watch out for the trees! I just always have this feeling, I just love my commute.
Oh yeah.
I just can't imagine being on Fanshawe Park Road, right? Like,
It's brutal. Yeah. Okay, so with that in mind, because I agree, like when I have to go fast to Masonville or something,
Sure.
I do it. Sure, I literally put earplugs in.
Yep.
No joke.
I recognize that. I understand completely.
I'm like, I don't want to. It's so loud. Everything about it is not great, and it's not separated.
And it's the intersections and the driveways and all that nonsense. Oh my God.
And then when it is separated, again, it's not smooth.
No,
It's like blunk. It's
Yeah.
like ow.
I know.
So then all your stuff in your panniers goes kadoosh.
Yes.
If you have anything delicate, rest in
done.
peace.
Yeah, that's right.
So that. So yes, we try to take the TVP as much as possible. Oh yeah, okay.
Without my bike rack. But with my bike rack, it'll still be good because
Oh yeah.
we're just there.
Yeah.
Good stuff right for you to crop.
Awesome. I like cropping. What do you think about exercising in the morning and in the after work? And are you ever too tired?
Not with an e-bike. But you can I like to gauge my workout. Obviously when I show up to work in a dress, I don't want to be sweating. But on the way home, I don't mind doing that. So you don't have to use your battery, right? I got to tell you, I have a bit of an ulterior motive for coming along today. You see that yellow ribbon there? Yeah. And it's across the street as well. One of my kids in grade 3 was hit by a car riding his bike at this intersection last Thursday.
Last Thursday?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that yellow tape is...
Left over from that accident. He's in the hospital, obviously. So to me, this intersection is just, it is a classic example of we do all this construction. My kids come to my school from here. They get bused, but if they're involved in sports, they got to walk home at the end of the day. And you can see that on Webster, there's no sidewalks, there's barely a shoulder, certainly not a bike lane. And Kalele is, you can see 70 kilometers, and you can imagine it's a lot. And it's up on a hill, it's very difficult to see. It was light when he was biking, but this is my new advocacy thing because I'm just so upset about it. And so is everybody at school, right?
I would imagine.
Yeah. So it is, obviously I go through this every single day, twice a day, but it's hard to see that police tape and know we could have been more proactive around this. You can see there's a bike lane right there. Another sort of attempt at doing something, but just not helping the people that actually live in the neighborhood.
Yeah. What would help? Because if that doesn't help...
Well, listen, what time is it? 7:37.
Yep, sorry.
Sorry, this probably doesn't give it away, but we need a stoplight right here, because watch this guy coming. Imagine trying to walk across here when people are going 70 or 80K, right? So we need a stoplight, we need sidewalks, we need lighting. I'm gonna go on here, but on Webster up here, there's a street light here and here, all along there. But when you get up to Webster, there's no street lights. So in the wintertime, it gets dark before 6. It's quite dark. Lights, sidewalks, a stoplight here, and throw in a bike lane just to keep me happy.
Thoughts on protected bike lanes?
Oh, come on. That's a pipe dream. Of course I would love that. I would take a sidewalk at this point. Yeah. Anyhow, that was a very recent thing that we've had to kind of deal with at Chippewa. And obviously, if anything can come out of that, I'm hoping it's safe infrastructure. Yeah. All right, now we lost our opportunity. But see what I mean? You sit here for a few minutes waiting desperately. All right, let's give this a shot.
I feel like even that insight is already worth it, just going on a ride with someone and being like, hey, did you know this right here? And it impacts you. And we were hanging out in the flower field right next to it all yesterday for like,
There you go. Is that right, eh?
yeah, for like 30 minutes just enjoying the sunlight. Meanwhile, like 50 meters away, just that had happened. Yeah, no, because we walked down here on the not sidewalk yesterday.
Right.
And yeah, like I know at Ward 3 meetings, like the town halls, they take place over at Beacock. There's Peter Cuddy here.
Oh, I thought it was Ward 4, but yes.
Yes, Ward 4, which one's
Now I'm mixed up.
Ward 4 is Susan Stevenson.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, no, it's all good. This is Peter Cuddy, Ward 3.
Yeah, no, I know. He showed up to my school council meeting.
Oh, cool.
And he's been very responsive.
Yes, he is very responsive.
Just gonna pause here. Responsive? Yes. But he really needs to speak up more and push infrastructure projects through for safer streets. Otherwise, it's all talk and no action. Resuming now.
He came to the school council meeting on Monday night. I actually talked about that intersection. And then Thursday night, our student was hit. So yes, he and I have been in contact since. We're gonna turn left here.
Yeah.
You know how you play that game?
Yes.
Sometimes I'm just like, I don't want you to wave me on. I just want you to do what you're supposed to
Exactly.
do.
That's us all the time. We're like, nope, go. That's how driving works. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then if you do go, you're in the wrong and you get hit. And they're like, well, I didn't expect. He's like, what? You weren't going.
I know. Feel the same way.
Yep. There we go. I can get some wide shots now that I have some room over here.
And I think about all those kids that go to Montcalm too, which is down there. Oh, sorry, car.
Not bad. Yes, Montcalm. The bike rack gets filled up.
It does.
I do see that.
It does.
I'm like, holy. Oh, do you go left here normally?
I do, but I'm not going to because of him.
Whoops,
oh,
sorry.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, Natalia.
That's definitely my bad. That is entirely on me.
I should just wave at the driver to say sorry.
Yeah, that's on me.
Trying to get out of his shot.
Yeah,
Damn cyclists.
truly.
So it is you that we see. We walk our doggo here.
Oh?
And, but you're typically very focused. And so because you're a cyclist, we're like, oh, how? It's like we kind of just wave.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I apologize.
Oh, but it's also after a long day's work, you're just like, nah.
Yeah, it may not be focused on the ride as much as still problem solving the day, yes?
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that in our last few moments here, do you find that, I don't always compare it to driving, so I'm not going to. When you ride your bike after work, do you find that it's kind of nice to be able to problem solve and relax and just do your winding through the trail?
It is like you cannot capture the impact that it has on your mental health. You just can't. That whole, I get to, the stress of the day, you're running around because, it's 15,000 steps or so a day too, right? But it's the mind piece and just being able to, flush that out while you're riding home. And then by the time you get home, it's like, okay, I'm back, something like that. So there's a great separation between the work mind and the home mind that you don't get in a car because you're stressed. And people want to go fast and, yeah, so yes. And on the way, today you've robbed me of this experience of, sorry, I just hit your mic. No, I was actually going to make fun of myself. Usually, I'm thinking about staffing, like I've got absences. Oh, who am I going to put here? And oh, I got to remember to talk to that person. So it's been a more relaxing ride, perhaps, because I'm talking about cycling, which I love.
So that was that. Thank you very much for riding along with Annette and I. This was one of our first ride-alongs, and by one of, I mean the first ride-along that I've ever filmed. So I realized that maybe it's just me, but I feel slightly self-conscious about the camera work. I usually shoot and then cut a bunch, but this is including a lot of all of the rubbish shots as well, just because a lot of the audio is so important. And the whole idea was to include everything. So this is what you get.
You're going to come in with me?
Do you mind if I do?
Of course not. It'd be great.
So as we end off and follow Annette into her office, I want to note that since filming this, Annette has retired from being a principal at Chippewa and retired permanently from, I guess she's retired. That's that. She's retired. But it's just super fascinating to me that she was able to spend 3 years of her life after getting this bike and put 27,000 kilometers on this bike. Mostly just doing this commute, which was 32 kilometers round trip, which is a lot, but as you can see, it's a really nice ride for, let's say, over 80% of the ride.
Morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great.
Yes, there are the other bits where she's on essentially the highway and other unprotected infrastructure, but for the most part, she was able to enjoy her ride for 3 years and not really drive all that much.
There's a system.
So then I take my camera off the gimbal here just to get some documentary shots, because I'm like, hey, you know what? Might as well go all shoulder rig with this. Or handheld, more like. So Annette is able to bring her bike into the office, which is very convenient, and it just sits there, like she said on the ride, throughout all of the day. Whoever comes in gets to see that, and there we go. Thanks for watching.
And that's where it sits all day.